So we're gonna make this haircut look better. I'm gonna redo this whole thing. And what I wanna do is, let's just say you do have a mullet or some sort of like anything like this. I wanna recreate this and give it a whole new shape. So this is gonna be kind of like a before and after. And yeah, just follow along and enjoy the video. So I'm using a number 2 guard, and I'm just gonna work this hair up to where I think it's a good area. Now, if you notice, like, I know a lot of barbers, a lot of people are always about like, oh, drop fades or mid fades or that. I don't really do a lot of that, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather, because from a perspective of someone who's been cutting hair for so long as a hairstylist, I think about how the hair grows out. So I cut hair for it to grow out the best way. And when I cut hair like this, as opposed to like, you know, leaving all sorts of bulk and hair into here and just doing like a little fade here, they're coming back in like, and they'll be like, what the hell did you do to my hair? Like, also keep in mind that when people were paying me and when I was seeing clients, I was getting over $100 for a haircut. So, and they'd come in and their hair would look almost like perfect. And I would say to them, hey, your hair looks incredible. And they're like, well, dude, it's because of your haircuts. And that's my approach to cutting hair, is that I actually cut the hair to grow out. So every area, every section on the head is for me, is I'm focusing on like, how's this gonna look? How long is it gonna last? Are they getting their money's worth? Are they, you know, the value of the haircut? So as you can see, this is very old school traditional, where I just follow the contour of the head. You know, I mean, that to me is like, you want a haircut that's gonna grow out good. You want to feel like you got a haircut, then follow the contour of the head. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. If I'm going to do any like short fades, it'll be based off of this. You know what I mean? I'm not going to like leave all this bulk up here and just fade one area. So the drop fades and all that, mid fades, that's all you hear on social media. And that's cool. And I guess they look okay. You know, like the haircuts look cool, but like, I don't know, like that wasn't really my clientele, you know? Like, so now what I'm doing is I'm just working in off of what was there already. So I'm gonna work this number 2 guard up so I can basically essentially just match everything into up here. And the top, since it's already been cut, this makes it a lot easier. Now, I'm one of those people who starts from the bottom and works my way up. And the reason is, and I've seen this on a lot of, mostly barbers, a lot of barbers who cut hair that way, where they work from the top down. What happens is when they get to a certain part, they actually don't blend in some areas the right way because they're like, oh, I'm done with the top, and they just focus on blending and connecting. Meanwhile, it's like building a house from the roof first. Like, you just don't do that. So, you know, for me, I find this is a better result for me because I'm working up into the shape ideally where the top is what's going to be styled. So I need to focus a lot of attention on that and make sure everything is working into the top, right? So that's how I do it. And if you can do great haircuts the opposite way, where you work the top to the bottom, then God bless you. It's just this is how I do it. And mind you, I'm not a barber. I'm a hairstylist, so I have a different approach. And right now, a lot of barbers want to cut hair like hairstylists because they want to learn how to cut hair properly. Because barbers have always been known to not be able to cut hair with scissors, right? They're amazing at skin fades, but now all you see on social media is barbers portraying to be, you know, a hairstylist. And just like, you know, a lot of hairstylists are trying to portray to be barbers. But for me, I've been cutting hair for over 30 years. I started out working with clippers. Like, that was me. I started out doing these types of haircuts. So it's not like, for me, working with clippers is something new. I learned how to, you know, work on cutting hair and clippers and fades back in beauty school 30-something years ago. So, you know, I'm very familiar with this. This is nothing new to me. I may be using different equipment, but... So again, what I'm doing right now is I'm just working my way up into the top. And this is really, really, really thick hair, this mannequin, man. This mannequin really has a lot of hair. So I'll definitely be thinning some of it out. But, you know, to me, this is where like the shape the shaping really starts to happen and take its form is how you really work this whole thing into the top, right? The top is, this is the style, right, up here. That's what makes us unique. And I do this in a way where I just, like I said, literally I'm working my way from the ground up. It's the foundation. Mannequin hair is the hardest to fade, to work on, to cut. And a lot of you, if you've been working on mannequins, you know this. And if you're a professional watching this, this is how you have to practice, right? You have to practice so you can see what every little piece does when you cut it. Like, that's how you get better, is just practicing. All right, so now I'm going to go from a 2. These are newer clippers that I'm using. These are, let's see here, Play. It's got Play on them. These are definitely TPOB is the brand. And I just got them, and they're definitely pretty good, a lot more quiet than the previous clippers I've had. So now I'm using a 3, and I'm just gonna, continue to work this upwards. Up to where the top, it starts to become like more of the top, right? And we're kind of getting into that area right now. Now, if you're gonna wear a haircut like this, kind of like a cropped haircut, then you need to start to make sure that you know and the professional knows where you want the top to start working into itself, like to become part of the style. Because all of this is fading and fading and fading and blending to where you get to a certain point, like here, it's like, okay, well, where does all this start to blend in, right? And I still have a lot of work to do, but where does it all start to really take shape and take form? And, that could be right in this area. Usually around the round of the head, which is like the corners, that is where most of the time I end up working the shape in, right? And a lot of times I'll even take those corners like here a lot shorter to work it up into this. And that's something I do from working from bottom to top. And I find that a lot easier for me for the results that I'm looking for, And sometimes I'll just move that hair out of the way. If you're watching this and you're attempting to cut someone's hair at home doing this, I wish you all the luck. This is something where, can it be achieved? Of course. There's millions of people who cut hair at home. And a lot of you have watched my videos and do it all yourself. But this is an art form that, we as professionals, including barbers and stylists, we invest a lot of money in learning and education. So it's not like, if you can do this the first time, then that's great. Good for you. But if not, it's totally understandable. So I'm using these clippers for as long as I possibly can until I have to start to use scissors. And right now what I'm doing is I'm pushing the hair into the clippers. And what that's doing, it's giving me a good visual of where all that weight is. And right now I'm just kind of really trying to work this in a soft blend to make this look like it's going to be really nice and blended, but it's also going to grow out really nice as well. And if you enjoy me just doing these like old school haircuts of what I used to do on years and years ago, and let me know in the comments. I'd love to know if you you enjoy me just cutting hair. That's really what it is, If you enjoy me cutting hair and watching, then it would mean a lot to me if you let me know in the comments. This is how I started my YouTube channel 14, 15 years ago. Except back then, the lighting was awful. It was done in a basement of the house I grew up in. And, it was fairly new. Now everybody and their goldfish has a YouTube channel. Okay, we're making some progress. Okay, now I switch to a number 4 guard, and I'm really trying to work this in to where I'm doing a lot of the blending now with the clippers. So it's taking off a lot of that weight and doing a lot of the work for me here. That's what's great about working with clippers sometimes, is like, you know, that's what these longer guards are for. They really are helpful. All right, I think this is good enough. So what I'm going to do now is start to work this all up, scissor over comb. And I'm going to start to blend all this in by hand. I'll get rid of all these later. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to comb the hair down, right, as flat as I possibly can. And if you have a cowlick or a swirl, that definitely, you know, plays an important role in this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to work this downwards and comb it. And what I'm going to do is spray the top down. Now, anytime I'm working on the top with, you know, using scissors, I spray it down. When I do all my blending and things like that, that's where I make sure that the hair is dry. So I always cut wet into dry. I'm never ever, and if you're watching this and you're new to cutting hair, or you're a hairstylist when it comes to, you know, clippers, you want to get more confident, you never ever cut hair or use clippers on wet hair. The amount of times I've seen stylists, oh, go back and get the client washed, and they come back and they take like a number 3 guard and the hair is soaking wet like this, and I'm like, oh my God, they're missing half of the hair, half of it's not being cut. It's just a crime scene. So I always do clippers on dry hair, and then what I do is I will cut all of this when it's wet, and as it's dried, by the time it's pretty much fully dry when I'm done cutting, then I can go back and do all of the blending like in this area and through here. And this is why, once again, I mentioned that I cut hair from the bottom up. So now I can actually see what is going on in certain areas of the head. So right now, this is my main focal point, and I can see that ledge right there. So what I need to do is I'm going to comb this hair out from the head, and I'm going to look and see. Well, there's the shorter piece. And a ledge is basically caused by weight. So if there's a line there, that's because all that hair on top is hanging over it, AKA it's weight. It's a weight line. So this is what I'm doing right now, is I'm connecting all of this into the top. And this is why, you know, you lose a lot of it. You end up having to go back anyway to do this if you go from the top down. Like, it just doesn't, to me, it just doesn't make any sense to do it that way because you have to go back in and then reblend it all over again. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just working my way up, and you can see how this is already starting to blend in. And then what I do is I will, once it's dry, and if I see anything now, I'm like, oh, that area right there, boom, I'll just get rid of it. I'll do some scissor over comb. I like doing some hybrid stuff to where if I see it right then and there, I'll get rid of it, you know? If I see an opportunity to blend something in, and then boom, it's right there, it's blended already. So let's work on this side. And if you do have a calic on your own head, or you're working if you're a hair professional watching this and you do have somebody who has a calic, you'll see it right away. You'll see what that damn thing is doing. If it's moving around all over the place, you'll see, you know, it wants to jump in one area, then jump to another area. It's going to be clear as day what it wants to do. And that's where you have to start to respect it and think and realize, like, well, how is this person going to be wearing their hair, right? Are they going to be wearing it forward? Do you need to leave some length on it? Do you want to go super, super short? That all really, really depends a lot on you, right? And the client. So I'm working my way around the head, and I always I cut and I look for a reaction. I'm cutting and looking for a reaction to see what the hair is doing. So now as I approach the other side, this hair was kind of a little bit funky and a little wonky on this side. So I'm going to see what's causing that when I work in on this side. And it could be that the hair from, you know, the previous haircut was not the greatest haircut, or it was uneven, or there was some, you know, I don't know. But hair, I always joke, I said the hair kind of talks to you. It says, hey, this is not right over here. You got to fix this. And that's the way I look at hair, is piece by piece. And if you notice, I haven't done any clips in the hair. I haven't done 15 sections just to go like this, and like this for 45 minutes. Like, I don't need to do all that. Just comb the hair and cut the damn thing. That's my outlook on hair. You know, if I want to get it out of the way, boom, it's out of the way. There, now I can cut. So I know a lot of people, professionals, are so hung up on theatrics and how this looks and how that looks, and oh, let me see how long I can do a handstand before I cut this section. It's like, dude, people buy into that stuff so much. But I know that there are stylists out there who don't really do that, and that's more me, of more of free flowing. All right, so here we go. Now that I'm able to see what that did, I can then go in and counter react to it by combing and just working my way into all of this, right? Working from the bottom upwards. And now I'm starting to see a much better connection, like in through this area. All right, so here we go. Now we're gonna officially work into the top, which is all of this in through here. And sometimes, you know, as the hair dries, especially with a hair type like this, where it's so thick, you know, you're gonna start to see things as it dries. And that's why I always say I like to cut wet into dry, because the hair will start to kind of work its way into itself, and it'll start to show you all sorts of different things as it dries. So that's where you have to go back in and reshape it. So I'm now working this part in, and I am gonna cut a little bit of length, right? I don't wanna have it super, super short, but I also don't wanna have it super long. So all I'm doing is just combing the hair up, and I'm combing it out from the head, and I'm working my way in. Mind you, I'm also paying close attention to make sure that as I'm cutting this, if there was a calic, I'm able to control it in through here. So a swirl is usually something that happens right in through here. So do I have to leave it longer, or do I have to cut it shorter? You know, for this hairstyle, I wanna have it lay relatively flat on the top of the head. So I am gonna leave a little bit of length in through here, but not so long to where it looks like there's too much hair on the head. All right, so one last piece. And I'm also, make note that I'm cutting vertically right now. I'm going towards the head. And that is going to just help me connect the dots, right? Connect everything in. And then once that is done, like now we're finished with that. So I can then turn this way. And now I'm going to cut horizontally. So all that has been blended. There is my guide, and I'm just going to cut straight across. And I'm leaving the past behind and working towards the future, which is the front. And there's my guide and straight across. So the way I cut hair, and I've been doing this for many, many years, is I cut the top, the corners, and the sides. So I'm now working on the top, making sure that my elbow is, I do have this mannequin head a little bit higher, so let me lower this a little bit. There we go. And I'm gonna work all the way to the very, very front. But I'm trying to keep everything parallel like that. So then, a lot of times I see people, they comb it straight up and they go like this. They drop the arm down and I'm like, whoa, talk about bad posture. So the straighter you keep everything, the straighter the cuts are gonna be. I did like the length of the hair. Sorry, this is the problem of being a hair professional, is it's like dodging bullets. You got hair flying all over at you. I did like the length in the front. So I'm just going to keep that length for now and then work my way back into that if I want to shorten it. All right, so the top is done. Now I mentioned the corners. These are the corners, the top, the corners, and the sides. The sides are the true sides down to here. So now what am I going to do? I'm going to comb the hair out from the head, and there's the weight line right there. There it is. This is what's causing the weight. I'm rounding this out, and I'm really just blending this based off of how the hair grows out from the head. That's all I'm doing right now. And this is what is going to really, really connect the top. Now, as I mentioned before, I like to do this last because I work my way into this. If I did this first, I then have to go back in. I mean, you're always having to go back in regardless. As a hair professional, it doesn't matter. You're going back in, you're recutting, you're doing this and that. I mean, it's always a constant, back and forth, back and forth. So, that's that. But now, I'm seeing that the hair is much more blended now, and I'm just simply going to work this into the sides, because now we're in the true sides, and I'm now doing scissor over comb right in through here, and I'm seeing the blend is much nicer right in through here, as you can see. All right, now the other side. Here we go on the corner on the other side, combing it straight out. Hello corner, nice to meet you. There's the corner right there. Boom. And if you follow this pattern, it really, honestly, it's going to help you. If you're a hair professional, if you're cutting hair at home, whatever it is you're doing, this is really, really, really going to help you. There's all that weight right there. Okay, I'm going to comb this, constantly be combing. Combing and cutting, combing and cutting. Great, and let's go. If you want, you can go hands-on right there. There's the corner. There's that weight. Go all the way back here, and you'll see, there it is. Boom, get rid of it. Great, so this is all now working in as I was hoping. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to work this in through here, scissor over comb. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, yes, I am talking, but this would be the same scenario if I was talking to a client, because, when you're taking an hour, spending a lot of time, half an hour cutting someone's hair, you have to factor in communication. And, these are people who you see on a regular basis. Sometimes you're closer to them than you are they're like your close friends. So you want to catch up, and you have a unique relationship with each and every one of them. And that's what's, I basically equate this to being almost like a real world haircut that I was doing. Because I'm interacting with you as the viewer. This would be the same thing if I was interacting with my client. And that's the whole key, is everybody's different. If you're charging a premium price, you better deliver a premium experience. Right? You don't want to be charging $100, $50, $70 for a haircut whatever it is, and you're spending 15 minutes with them. If you can, because some people say, look, their time is valuable. If they can pay you more for you to spend less time on them, that's actually more valuable. Like maybe some people would rather pay $100 for 15 minutes because it looks so good in 15 minutes and they're out the door. You just save them 45 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, so there is some truth to that. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this, the weight right there. I'm going to make sure that this is all blended and connected together so that the front isn't too heavy. And this is a great way to cross-check and double-check to make sure everything is flowing smoothly. Okay, there it is. And this is where you need to really be aggressive, right? You got to really make sure you're holding that hair up and you're connecting everything and it's all working together. All right, this is looking good. Now what I want to do is I just want to cut this piece in the front a little bit right there. There's a few ways you can do this. I'm going to hold this straight down like this, and I'm just going to point cut. And with these, you can go back in and retweak a lot of this when it's dry. Sorry, I'm trying to not stand in your way so you can see. And just remember that hair shrinks up, so be cautious of that so you're not cutting it too short. Okay. All right, so now what I want to do is dry the hair. And like I mentioned, majority of this is already dry. But this is the time where I go in and I start to do all the blending and refining and all that. And I'm also, what is this right here? Oh, this is from the, I have to cut that right there. All right, now this is the time where I go in and start doing all the refining and evening, like all this stuff even through here. So a lot of it, you know, keep in mind, I don't want to block the camera, so that side is always going to be the problem, so I'm going to fix that in a minute. But now what I want to do is just go in with a number 1 guard, And I'm not looking to go super short here. I'm actually gonna extend this up to like a 1.5. I'm just gonna bring this up a little bit right in through here. And I'm just gonna, I actually do have a 1.5 guard. I gotta find it. But what I wanna do is just get rid of all this little bulk right in through here. So I'm looking to just create a little bit of a light taper, nothing crazy, right in these little corners right here. Boy, a lot of this is from how the hair is stitched. Look at that. The stitching, it's like crazy. Okay, now the top. And let's fix up that one little piece in through here that was like a lot longer. Yeah, just right in here. Sorry, I have to have this mannequin face me because sorry, I had to put, I couldn't see. That's why this one side was so much longer. I was trying to block the camera. I mean, I was trying to not block the camera. All right. So now, let's work on just adding some of that texture. I'm actually going to do that with the thinning shears. Okay, let's see what we got. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow dry all this hair, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to style this. This is my new styling product that I've been sharing the journey along with you all, and I'm going to be releasing it hopefully in a week. But this is it right here. Probably one of the most incredible styling products, and I'm basically creating a whole new category for this. But this thing is, I've never seen a hair product do this. It's probably going to be one of the most amazing products ever created and used. So I'm working it into the hands. Just make sure you really work it in. Because of the ingredients, you got to really make sure you get that in there. And then on dry hair, I'm going to go in and start to create the texture. This is probably, in my opinion, one of the most pliable, if not the most pliable hair products. Most incredible finish, incredible scent I've ever worked with in my career. Even with my other products, how good they are. I've never worked with a product as amazing as this. And look within seconds how amazing that looks. I mean, so what I'm going to do is let's get a little closer, and I'm going to break this down for all of you. All right, here it is. Okay. And you can wear this in a variety of different ways as well, right? You can piece this out a bit. You can make it a little more soft in the fringe. But from a structural standpoint, the symmetry here, I got to comb this through. The symmetry on this is incredible. It's incredible. So look at, this is the difference between really sculpting and shaping, right? Really, really sculpting and shaping. Look how nice that is. And to me, it's not really about oh, look at the drop fade, look at the mid fade, blah, 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 blah. To me, this is a haircut that is going to grow out incredibly well. This is going to grow out incredibly well. And you could even see if you have a cowlick, look, I push it right down. This is what someone is paying for. Someone is paying for a quality shape so that as their hair grows, as they're doing whatever it is they're doing, it's got that perfect silhouette. That's what this is, right? This is why people pay a premium price for a haircut. This is why I've taken all of my years of experience and mastered the art of the experience for my guests and clients throughout the years. And doing this on a mannequin is 3 times as hard than doing it on someone in real life. Mannequin heads are the hardest to cut to make even look this good and presentable. Another option is if you want to wear this a bit more messy, then there you go. You've got a pliable, textured kind of style. That's also what makes this product so unique, is that you can rework it into any shape that you want. So the awesome thing about this is, the structure of this, right? Look how cool that looks. There's a lot of different variations you can do with this, and this is an awesome haircut, right? A lot of pliability, a lot of options. So I hope you all enjoyed this. I know this was a whopper of a video. If you want to purchase any of my products, you can, crack the back there. You can use code YouTube20 at shop.thesalonguy.com. If you want to understand haircut shapes, I have ebooks. They're only $10 each on understanding haircut shapes and the best face shapes for them. That's what I've learned and mastered over all these years. You can purchase them right here. Again, they're only $10 each, one for men's hair, one for women's hair. And that's it. I hope you enjoy this. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.